Hey, it is your girl Abby, aka New Age Coach here, and I am lighting the way for those on their way to the light. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about why not seeing signs is actually a good sign. When I first noticeably started going through my spiritual awakening, I was being bombarded with all types of unusual visions, with symbolism, with messages through songs, with synchronicities, with coincidences, with numbers everywhere, repeating numbers. There's 333, 111, 444, 777. You get the point. And it was all just so much in my face that while I didn't know why or what exactly was happening, I knew that something much bigger was happening and that I needed to pay attention. And once I started to really pay attention to those signs, I realized that they were actually pointing me to the right direction, pointing me to search out, what the meaning of this is or what's the message behind this thing. And both from outside sources like YouTube, where I found all of my spiritual information during this time, as well as books, but more importantly, to search within myself, right? Which was a whole new concept to me. And because I paid attention to those signs, to those numbers, to where this guidance was pointing me, I really started, realizing that I was going through a spiritual awakening. So those little nudges were actually pointing me to the right resources to explain what it was that I was going through. And every time I could plug in a piece of the puzzle, like, oh, great, like, yes, that sign meant this or this meant that, every single time a little bit of it clicked, the universe would reward me with even more signs to keep going, to keep searching, to keep digging, right? And that, yes, in fact, I was getting the memo. While the signs and synchronicities were so much in my face in the beginning and undeniable, over the last couple months, they have been just less and less conspicuous. And I actually made a video, which I will link below if you're interested, called The Void. And that's where I was going through this kind of spiritual funk, and I felt like the universe turned its back on me. I wasn't getting those signs. I wasn't getting those messages. No more basically hand-holding for me and pointing me to that book I should read or that person who I should text that was on my mind, or basically giving me that sign for that next step that I was becoming so used to. And now it's been about 7 months since my official spiritual awakening in November of last year, and I'm finally starting to understand why I'm not having all of these in-your-face universe moments now the way I once did before. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I wanted to share that reason with you. I know that a lot of you are going through kind of the same thing, and that you might feel a little bit lost now because you too might have been getting so many signs before, and now that you're kind of slowing down on that path, it might feel like you're a little bit isolated, like the universe is turning its back on you too, or that you're going crazy because it used to be so palpable and so real to you, and when it just disappears, it might feel like you did something wrong or that you've regressed on your spiritual journey. And I'm here to reassure you that none of that is true. So in the beginning of our spiritual awakening, the divine team that supports us, they know how scary this can be, how jarring it can be. And just, again, it's just a weird experience to go through. And we can be fearful, we can be resistant to it, and again, just feel lost because we don't know how to explain what we're going through to not only other people, but it's hard to even reconcile for ourselves. By providing us these in-your-face signs and these foolproof ways that our angels and our guides know that we're going to understand, especially during the beginning, they lead us to those resources to learn everything we need to know about what it actually is that we're going through. But by being in your face to undeniably know that you're being guided and led to certain directions via these signs. This is how the angels get our attention in the first place, right? How they establish their relationship with us. The more signs that you start to see that are way too coincidental to be coincidences, that number sequence like I talked about that you just can't stop seeing, that lyric of a song that just keeps playing over and over and over in your head and is so perfect to describe the life situation that you're actually going through in that moment, or it keeps coming up on the radio, or the lyrics keep showing up in books you're reading. That's what I'm talking about here. It just opens the door to kind of question. Really, you're asking what is actually happening here? And as you start to get a sign and trust it and follow it, and then it turns out amazing because you followed that guided intuition, that inspired action, and you took that right next step, that gives you assurance, mostly that you're not crazy, but that there is actually something there. Again, it validates your feelings, your gut and intuition. It gets stronger and stronger every time you get this little bit of validation. And that's exactly why later on in your journey, you don't need all the in your face signs anymore, because you can then learn to start to rely on your own feelings, your own inner knowing. You've built up that intuition muscle through this kind of practice. On the spiritual journey, it is all about trusting yourself, your gut, your inner voice, and not needing that validation from other people, from friends, from family, from your boss at work. And our divine team can even fall into this category where you don't actually need their validation as you progress on your spiritual path at times either. And that is exactly why those signs get less and less. This is because we all have free will too. We create our own paths, and our angels and our guides and God, or whatever you call it, they will always be there and always give us these signs, but we have to ask for that. And most importantly, that divine energy that lives within us, in our hearts, in our souls, in our being. So we don't need to look outside. And when we start relying too heavily on all these external validation measures for answers, like those obvious in your face signs and coincidences and patterns that we're trying to look for, like, is that a sign, is that a sign, I saw this number, what does it mean, right? When you get so reliant on that way of thinking, you're placing so much of your power on the outside. And in reality, again, you already have that answer. You already have that knowing that this is right or this is wrong. You already know the truth because it lives inside of you. So when you're on a space in your path where you aren't seeing signs every day, you aren't getting that universal nudge to look here or go there, you aren't feeling tapped in the way that you once felt, don't get discouraged. It's normal. It's a part of the process. Actually, use this time as a reminder to yourself that you need to spend more time flexing that intuition muscle that we talked about, staying silent and listening to your thoughts and your feelings to see what message you is trying to give to you. Not getting all of those in your face signs, it's actually something to be proud of. It's actually something you want to embrace. It means that your angels and your guides or God or source, again, however you identify, it means that your divine team trusts you. They now know that you understand your power more, that you have the answers within you, that you have all the signs that you need already within your being, and that you're beginning to trust that and listen to it. If you get sad and cry, that's a sign. If you feel like something needs to change because there are butterflies in your tummy, then that's a sign. If your heart skips a beat when you talk about something or someone that you love, that's a sign. Those are all you. You're creating those emotions. You're creating that experience within. But often we neglect, the signs that our bodies and our minds and our feelings give ourselves when we're looking for them outside. Often, we just forget to tap into our hearts and just listen and pay attention again to the signs that our body and our soul, they already give those to us. So to wrap up this video, I just wanted to give a personal example, because this is something that I, am realizing myself. I've been having these same questions, like, why am I feeling this way, where I used to feel so much in that flow and seeing all these signs and getting all these messages, and again, feeling like that's dwindled down. And I wanted to give a personal example for when I tell you you're not alone on this, you're not, because when I make these videos, most times, I'm going through kind of the same things. And I went to a spiritual development center the other week, and we did a group meditation, and I just thought it was beautiful, because my intention going into the meditation was literally like, hey, universe, are you still here? I just felt like I'm a little bit tapped out. I'm a little bit disconnected. So I asked for just kind of a sign, some reassurance or a message around this intention of like, are you here, universe? And the long and short of what happened was, I felt when I got deep into the meditation, the way I can explain it, is that I felt like I was just getting, it was like this vase and it was being poured directly into my head, and it was pouring directly straight into my heart. So from going into my head all the way to my heart, I could basically feel that all of the information, all of these answers, all of the messages I've been craving and desiring, it was literally being poured into my head and into my heart. And it was a very playful energy and very laughy. And ultimately the message was, Abby, you know, we're still here. We're always here. We never go away. Just get out of your head and don't be so serious. Don't think so much. You know, you don't need to know everything all the time right away. All the answers you need to know, you already have them. Literally, I saw it being poured into my heart. I knew that I already had the answers in my heart. Basically telling us we don't always need all of these signs. We don't always need the answer or to be looking elsewhere for that. They live again within our hearts, and we will figure it out if we just pay attention to our heart. And I just think that is a beautiful message for us all. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe, remember to like, leave a comment, but most importantly, actually remember to share this with someone if you think they could benefit. You never know, it might actually be that sign that they need right now to remind them that the universe always has their back. I will see you next Sunday.